Hello, Grayson. I know. You told my father to tell me not to make any more video titles of your name. But there was a lot of stuff going on this month, and I need to talk to somebody about it, and I'm thinking the only person who has watched my videos and still does is you, Grayson. And, and also I need like a views because of I need them to understand what's going on in my life, and so but I'm mostly gonna talk to you, Grayson. So Grayson, before I get started with April stuff, I gotta get to March. So like March 19th, I was going to Rock Creek, and my father and Andrew, like Andrew was driving us, and the father was like to the passenger seat. I was in the back seat. Andrew was like, when he's driving and like, just couldn't like still not know entirely how to drive, but still does very good. He said, Steven said, "Geez, Andrew, like Andrew, you cannot drive like that. You know how your tire's gonna get bad." And I was like, "Yeah, geez, or geez, Andrew, you can't do that." And then Steven's like, "William, don't." And I said, "So you guys get to say that, but I can't." And he said, I know, but like still, like, I'm just telling the two of you that it's not okay to like he was telling the two of us, like, why it's the two of us, like that's what I was saying. And then he started getting frustrated. I was like, "William, it's not that like." But when he kept being acting like that, and then I was like, "Okay, right now I'm about to," like kept telling me to stop talking. I was like, "All right, now I'm about to get to the demeanor," and he just sighs. It's like he's the last. He wants to be the last person to talk. And so, and also, it's when I got there, Rock Creek sucked. It was just a long trail. I went there, but that's not important. What is important is that, well, actually, before this, me and my father had been arguing the rest of the month. But then on April 2nd, we were talking again, and, he called me on the phone, um, about going back to the park, and it's gonna be Rock Creek. I was like, "Oh hell no!" And so uh, that's when he told me that I went to the wrong trail. And I said, "I did go to the right trail. You saw me go there. It was a long trail." And he said, "No, I took you kids to another way where we went up there. There was like signs, and it was at the end of it. It stopped there. We had to go back." And I was like, "I don't remember that." And more, and I just couldn't, like, we started arguing about that. He got like mad, like, do you know, like, no, that you didn't go there. All right, I'm telling you, you did not go there. It's just he sounded angry. He kind of sounded angry when he did that. And so, you want to know what I did? I hung up on him. And so, but then he called me back again because he wanted to tell me to tell Andrew about it. So I gave the phone to Andrew. But while he was doing that, he was texting me saying, "Why are you mad at me? It's because you didn't go to the right trail." Like, it took me days to weeks about that. I didn't want to look at that, but until then, it was then right there. Like I said, I think April 17th is when I saw it, right before I text Steven about this message that I will get to later. Anyways, so uh, he told me to go to the park, and I was like, "I don't want to go to the park. It sucks." And then he's like, there's like somewhere where you could like go up there, like it's like a rock or a wall to go up there." And like I was like, "No, I'm not interested," or like go up to the pole or the rocks, and I was like, "Not interested." And it's like, "All right, well, I'm gonna go see ya." And it's like. I was like, "Ugh," and he would just talk back, and he said something back, and then I plugged my ears, and he's like, it calls me, but be like, "Can it just just come on, there's like a, why don't you go there? There's desserts if you don't want to go there. You're gonna miss it." And it's just it's a long story short. It was like that, and so then I was like, "All right, I'll go, but just don't say anything when I go out there." So I came out there as silent, and it's just annoying. And I had to go back in his stupid elemental Honda. That it was hard to get in the back door because you have to open the front door. And then I have to go, and it was nasty. It's kind of the car is kind of nasty, kind of messy, and it's old. It's broken, kind of broken down. He needs to get a new car, is what I'm saying. I had to sit in the back. I had to sit in the all the way in the back. So then so then I went there. I took pictures. Good for me. but oh yeah, I didn't go back to the trail. Oh yeah, cause oh yeah, after that, before he came here, well, he actually um surprised me. I just hate that. Like he just had to surprise me when I was on the swing. He called me back again. I was like, he said, "What happened?" And I was like, I lied to him about saying I think I don't know. I think my phone dropped, and then he's like, okay. And then I told him that. Is it the gate? I saw a gate. Is it to go to the trail? Is that what you're talking about? And he said yes. And long story short, we were talking. He got there. But anyways, next another day. Let's see what other day I can pick. 11th, 12th, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so around the 15th, I was telling my mother that how unfairly I was treated by the church people, and and she was like, and then long story short, when I was talking about, I was telling her I wanted to make videos about criticism videos about how the people, including church people, had treated me unfairly, and then she was like telling me about you better not like talk. You're gonna get in trouble if you mention their names. And I was like, I'm not gonna get in trouble about that. And what I meant by that is that I meant what I meant to say to my mother is that, and she didn't understand, is that I wanted to. I was mentioned. They're not gonna watch my videos. The people in church don't watch my videos, and other people don't watch my videos. And then she said, no, no, because that's not true. Because one time there was a lady that she cried, and and then you lost her, and she saw the video, and you thought that she was not going to. Fuck her, okay? She's gonna get what's coming for that, okay? And so, and then, and you wanna know what she's talking about? You, Grayson. She was talking about you. And I will discuss, and let me just discuss about you later, Grayson, because I got something to explain about you about that. But I was gonna make a video about you later, but now she wants to already get started with me. Thanks to her, now I have to do a video about you. And so, and so then, when was it? And so then on April 16th, when we went there again, like I wanted to go to the playground, but then some of the families were playing there, and so I had to wait there. And then while Andrew and Steven were playing pickleball, and so then I was like going, and so I was trying to. He called me. I was telling him I can't go to the playground playing because the two families were playing, and he said, "Don't go play with them. Like don't don't let these people ruin your day." And like just letting them know that you're not an adult. Do I look like a kid to you? Do I still look young? Anyways, so they when he finally called me again, he was like, oh, "We're gonna go," and but then they were leaving, and so I was like, "They're leaving right now." So he was like, "Okay, how about you go play, and then I'll liberatize you or liberate you." I don't know what it was, whatever he was saying. I was playing in the playground, but then I saw flickering lights of the car, like Andrew was like flickering lights. I didn't know what he was doing there. So then while I was playing the playground for long enough, he was leaving me. I heard the car turning on. They were leaving me. They literally was leaving me. So and the same thing with Andrew was leaving me with the earlier on another day where I think it was on the 13th. He left me in the car, or is it April 6th? But it was on one of those days that he left me. He teased me by leaving me, he did the same thing, but he had got to go because what Steven didn't tell me about is that he had to get ready for like something for a 5:30 thing, and got to go to a play at 7 o'clock. And so then and so Andrew has to take him to the old car, and so that's when he called me about he's saying, "Are you coming with us or not?" Like when it's like leaving. Like how dare he? And this is how people treat me. Like I didn't know that they were that I was supposed to signal with that. I didn't know about that. I didn't do anything. So that I told my mother about that. I didn't do anything with that, and she said, "Well, if you didn't do anything, then you didn't do anything." Like how dare she? After like Andrew like left me, and after Andrew was explaining to me, like saying to me that you were taking a long time. I think he said something like that. You were taking a long time, and you were. We tried to signal you. I tried to signal. You told me to signal you, but you didn't. But you were looking at. You were staring at the car, but you didn't. But you didn't. But you didn't listen. And so then, and then that's why I left to get you back. And so I fucking hate that. And so, and thanks to him, thanks for all that story, including my mother. That's why I'm doing this video as well. And so, And then Steven and I were arguing like on the phone call later, and I was like, uh, I was telling him, that. Sorry. Just give me time to think because I'm getting kind of tired about this. So I was telling him that you keep telling me about that you like keep teasing me with the father and son thing, even though I don't like that. Is that to tease me? And then he's like no, he's like I don't know. I guess that like, and so then I was like, yeah, that's a long story about that. But I said to I said to Steven that okay, I can like I'll try to like believe that I'm your son, but can I at least be your son without being a brother? And he says that he's not gonna like he's gonna believe this like this fantasy, or yeah, and then he said and I said it's not a fantasy, it's more like I don't want it to be true. And he said to me that sorry, let me give me a thing. So he said to me that I can't like that's not the reality, William. Like, and it's just like that. I just fucking hate that. And like, I'm not a brother, okay? Listen, and Grayson even listened to me about that. She respected me. Thanks to you, Thank you, Grayson, for respecting me about that. Like, you listened, but most other people did not. And I'm about to tell you like other people that I'm going to give you an example that didn't even listen to me. So like for an example, like when I said this to Karen, she didn't even like March 31st. She was telling me. I was on the phone call and I was like, I said, on the contrary, when I was telling her, I was thinking if I know you're not going to allow me, but I was thinking if I were going to see your third granddaughter be born. And she's like, no, you can't. She's like, no, it's a family thing. And so I was like, well, on the contrary, I don't have a family. And then she said, you do have a family. I know you say you don't, but like, and then I said, I don't want it to be true that he's my brother. Like, it's a long story about that. But she's like, well, you could be who you want to be. But she didn't say anything about, okay, you're not a brother, okay? Well, like she's not like she didn't say anything about that. So that means that she still is thinking that I have a brother. And so then it's the same thing like here in the phone call with Steven about this. And so then and then we started I was telling him about other things that happen, like well, even including the car thing. He explained to me about the car thing when they were leaving me at the Chuck Moorhead park. And so I was like all the park days I was talking about was at Chuck Moorhead. um it's a park in Albemarle for those people that don't know. So anyways, so then the next day, when I was looking at the one, I was like, "Why are you angry at me? Because you didn't know, because you didn't go to the right trail." And that's when I was like saying to him, like, that's one of the reasons. And the other reasons, including that day when they were leaving me, I was saying to Stephen, like, be warned, Stephen. One day, you will pay for having me unblock you and for everything else. And you're not going to answer me because you don't want to argue, but it's still going to happen to you. And he said, "Good morning," with those with those two sun emojis. Just like acting like he just didn't care, just didn't want to be, just acting like he's happy, didn't want to be bother him. And that's when I text him saying, yeah, I know I see what you're doing. And then he said, how do you have a camera on me to see what I'm doing? Like, how dare he fucking talk to me like that? And so then I was like saying, I can see the meaning, your words, your emojis, the punctuations. It was like that. And so that's when 2 days later, on the 19th, he then said to me, that, just give me time to think. He said to me, William, I'm going to try to, I heard, you text me about what I did, and I'm sorry for what I did. I hope that I'll try to behave and like I'll be nice and all that, and which is we're gonna discuss that later. But on like the 17th and the 18th, when I was telling her about like writing letters to Heather, or like I want to tell people like why people like treat me like this, and like, and so, and she's like, I forgot what it was, but it was like I was telling her about you, and she's like she didn't care about me talking about you. She doesn't care. That's what to teach her a lesson about. That's what makes her pay for it, is to make her care about making this video for what she's saying about you. And so, like, I'm bringing this up about you on that day because what she was mentioning about you earlier, and also because of when I was telling her about something else. I was asking her a question. Did you really mean that? And it was like, why you gotta bring this up when I gotta when I gotta when I just don't want to get past that, it was over with. And that's when it started with the argument there, and so that I can't discuss that. It's in the one of the it's um so it's actually very inappropriate. So it was when so then that's when I was like, I'm gonna go write letters. I was like getting upset. I was like I'm gonna like write a letter to Heather, which I haven't done that yet. So like writing letters to tell people like how I was treated by her, and she's like, this is why you're gonna lose her. Because of you. And I said, no, it's gonna be because of her. And he said, no, she said, no, because of you. Like, she doesn't shut the fuck up about that. And so that's when the same thing about she's saying that I blew it. I blew it with you. Like, when I lost you when I did that video and I blew it. Like, that is not true. Let me tell you something, mother. I did nothing to Grayson, okay? I was acting like that in the video because I have insanity and because I have a sensitive mind, and I was trying to basically not genuine, but I was like trying to like get upset and like say all these pretend threats. I was not threatening her. She told me that too. I was not threatening her. And so I did the right I mean, yeah, I did the right thing because I was talking about my feelings, and she had no reason to cry. I had no reason to apologize to her. I did nothing wrong to her. And so, yeah. And that's when the whole argument thing, when I told her to shut your fat fucking mouth, like when when I was telling when she kept talking about Grayson. And so then that's when she kept saying the same thing in the bathroom when I was through the bathroom, and she was like saying, like I kept telling her, like, even outside, and she said to me, like, outside and in the bathroom or just outside, when I told her that, see, sometimes when you upset me, and she said, by telling you the truth, like, she is a fucking asshole. And so, and also, I was like, you hurt my feelings. And she said, you hurt my feelings. Okay, you hurt my feelings too. I hate it when she's one of those 20th century born adults who tell me that you hurt my feelings too. And I was like, you don't talk to me like that. And she said, you don't talk to me like that too. The same thing with 20th century people. She's fucking annoying. And so then that's when she said, and then she's like, you don't treat people with respect and kindness and all that. And she said, same thing with outside. And that's when I got angry with I slammed my hand on the door like, yeah, the bathroom door, just walked away. And she just didn't give a shit about that, because I had done that before. And so that's... And also about Aiden, we gotta talk about Aiden. Now let's get to that other thing. So when I was telling him that, when he was asking me about, how's your brother doing? And I was like, he's not my brother. I don't have a brother, because I never wanted to be a brother, or never wanted to have a brother. And so that's when, I said, why can't you people just leave me alone? And he said, well, well, then I can't cut your hair. And then I discussed that in another video, but, I was like, saying to my mother about this, like, what he meant by that, it just didn't make sense about that when I told him, this is nothing to do with a haircut. And she said to me that it's because she said to me that he meant that, if he didn't leave you alone, then he wouldn't have cut your hair. And I said to her that that's unfair, like, because all white people are always smart. And she said black people are smart too, and it's like, no, because I don't want to get to that. Like, I won't discuss that on there because a respect to black people. Like, I'm not gonna yeah. So so anyways, as soon as this is going on, and don't worry, black people are smart, okay? It was just, I was just telling, like, and I don't mean that I'm smart than you black people, okay? And so that's when, we kept going with this conversation about, like, he's, like, saying to me, like, it's unfair that when that was not my intention, and she said to me that, it's not fair when that was my intention of making him think of people leave me alone when I meant that people leave me alone about being sibling. And then she's like saying to me, he's not your therapist, William, and all that. And so then that's when he's not gonna help you with your feelings, William, or thoughts. And it's like you guys don't understand how I feel. And she's like, we do, but you act like this and you're mean, and like I fucking hate that. Like, she doesn't respect me. I was like, are you my mother? And she said, I guess not. Well, if I'm really your son, then you need to act like, treat me with respect and be nice to me like your mother. Because I thought you were my mother. I thought, like, you treat your own son, you're unfairly. And so that's when that's when we started an argument and tell you to shut your fucking mouth and all that, fat fucking mouth and all that. It was like April 18th, I believe. And she didn't want to talk to me for the rest of the day. But then I was telling her the one day when she later the day, later on the 18th, when she was going to wash the machine, I was like, if we don't talk for hours, can we talk in? And she's like, of course. Are you gonna, is it because of me that why we can't talk later? And she said, no, it's not your fault, William, honey. She wanted me to go on the swing, play on the swing outside while she was sleeping. It's good. But then, she lied to me. When I was telling her about, like, when we talked tonight, and she's like, well, I was going to, but until you're an asshole. How dare she call me an asshole? And so, and I know you're thinking, like, I'm calling her an asshole. Well, to be fair, she called me an asshole before I'm calling her an asshole in this video. So, and so then, and then we talked about a few things, but then we couldn't get to the rest of the things on the next day because she wanted to go to bed. And so then she's going to pay for all of this, including about Gracian, because I'm going to do something to her, metaphorically. Not threatening, not anything like that, but like, make something that will make her care. Let's go with that. And so that's when, sorry, let me think, and another thing, she was, like, when I was, Karen, like, when I was telling Karen about this, like, about voice messaging about Karen about all these things with, and then she told me to, like, I'll call you on Monday, when I was telling her on Saturday. When she called me on Monday, when we were talking on Monday, she, I just want to get out of this way first, I'm just gonna say this just in case I didn't like it when she was, like, not answering me, because of, like, because I was, like, because I was like, I thought you were gonna call me when you were getting off of work, but never, but, yeah, and so, she gets off at work at, like, 3:45, after school, and so, and that's when I was like, and so she was, sorry, I was telling her about, like, I was just calling you just in case, because, you didn't call me, and so then, she didn't answer, but I just didn't like that, but, anyways, getting back to what I'm saying, with, when we were at the phone call, she called me, like, about 5, and then I was telling her about, Aiden, and it's like, well, like, I was telling her, why did she tell me that what Aiden meant that if he would have if he had let me alone, he would have not cut my hair, when that was not my intention, I meant, and my mother agreeing with that, knowing what he meant, when that's not my intention, I meant that leave me alone as sibling, and then Karen said to me, because Aiden didn't know about that, people just misunderstand what you're saying, but when you say why people leave you alone, that's when he thought that he would have left you alone with the cutting hair thing, and it's like, what you and Aiden said is unfair, or no, what I actually said was, what my mother and Aiden said was unfair, and I am, and then that's when I plugged my ears, because I didn't want what Karen said back to me, but I was like, when I get into this, like, I was telling her that I didn't want to be a brother, and all that, like, with what Aiden was saying, but she didn't say anything about that, like, I was telling her about, like, she didn't say anything about, okay, you're not brother William, like, she didn't finally say that, and so, what I forgot, that I didn't say in another video, is that, I was saying that to Aiden that, I'm not a nasty sibling like you, I am William, and also later I was saying, also I said that to Karen earlier, I said it twice, like, I said it to her, and or like Aiden, I'm not a nasty sibling like Aiden, I'm William, she's like, that's right, you're William, and then I was like, March 31st, and I told her about it again when I told Aiden about it, I'm not a nasty sibling like you, I'm William, it was on the 17th when he cut my hair, And so that's when uh and then that's when I told I told her that I was saying to Aiden that what I didn't mention in the other videos, that I was saying that I believe that I have miracles that I'm not a sibling, and that's what shields me from being an uncle. And then he said you don't want to be an uncle, and I said no. And if they do call me an uncle when Andrew has children, then do I need to disguise myself as somebody else so people can shut the fuck up about it? And Aiden said you don't have to. And then I said to Karen's like, you know what, is that a good idea? Should I dress up like Halloween like Marie Antoinette? For just dress up, just so people not call me siblings to Andrew or uncles to Andrew's children, and that way they don't call them my nieces and nephews, like um yeah. And so and I'm gonna still refuse to believe that they'll be my nieces and nephews, and me being their uncle, and still refuse to believe that I'm his brother. Like I I'm not his brother, and I'll never be an uncle when Andrew has children, and never have nieces and nephews when he has children. Because I never wanted that. So, and like, and then like same thing. She just didn't help me with that. Like, and so that's when I was telling her about the old uncle thing with me and Aiden, and so then I was telling her that, but that's his business. That's Aiden's business about him calling those girls his nieces, and calling himself uncle, and because he never wanted to be an uncle and never want to have nieces and nephews. That's everyone else's business to talk, like, to call their own family members that, and not everybody else. And that's my business to call Andrew my brother, and that doesn't mean I am a brother. So and so I was like telling her that, asking her, do you understand that? And she's like, yes, I do. But she still didn't say that I'm not a sibling, I'll not be an uncle, and never gonna have nieces and nephews when Andrew has children. So, anyways, and that was it with all of that for now. So, so Grayson, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say to Grayson, uh, or at different titles, and I'll like keep on making videos about talking to you, Grayson, about my feelings about this. So, bye.